with how stressful weddings are,
Yeah.
it just one less thing for you to stress about, right? And having someone to go to, and again, like you're saying, if you're here, you'll know when your suit's gonna be ready.
Absolutely.
It's like it's not like there's a shipping delay.
It's like having your cousin DJ your wedding, right?
Yeah.
Lighting and set design, right?
This is going on TikTok.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Wedding SZN, the podcast brought to you by Eminence Entertainment. We told you that we're going to go to all of the elite vendors, at least as many as we can get through for you guys every single episode and every single time. Today, we are with Garrison Bespoke, and we have owner Mike here with you. Mike, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Let's give a little round of applause to Mike. Mike, thank you for being here with us. So why don't we get into it right away? Give our viewers a little bit of information about where and how did Garrison start, and what do you guys do?
So Garrison actually started from my bedroom. I was 10 years old, and it's like a young, kind of quiet kid.
Okay.
And I actually got a tuxedo for my grade 2 communion. Like in the Roman Catholic kind of religion, you get dressed up for this big occasion.
Right.
And that was the one day that everyone noticed me.
Okay.
Wow.
After that day, I was addicted to clothing.
Yeah.
I loved the compliments. I loved standing out. I remember I was wearing a white tuxedo with a red bow tie.
Okay.
And I remember me as part of a large South Asian family. I was a quiet kid. I was a guy who wasn't really noticed. In school, I was the quiet kid again. And that one day I felt really, really special. So that was the one thing that cemented my journey into clothing. And, like obviously over the years, what I've kind of done is kind of evolved quite a bit from where I started Garrison 15 years ago to where it is today. But really, it started in my bedroom when I was 12 years old.
Very nice. So as you mentioned, so it's been 15 years. Congratulations on
Thank
that,
you.
because that means
Huge
you've
achievement.
been doing it for a long time. And obviously, when you've been doing it for so long, there's so many things that you learn and you develop, and you kind of, I guess, evolve every step of the way, right? So what is the scale that you've evolved to today from that bedroom that you started from?
So the evolution of the brand, basically, it took us when I was 13. I actually got a job at Home Renfrew. I was folding cashmere sweaters for a couple of years. I was actually known as like the youngest person to ever work at Home Renfrew as a luxury retailer.
Very nice.
And then it even when I was 25, I was searching for what I wanted to do as a career. Like I had this parallel. I had worked in retail. I had gone to school for fashion, but I couldn't necessarily see a niche for myself where I could, work within my passions
Okay.
and actually add value, do something that might make my family proud.
Right.
It's like as a young Asian male, you're always expected to be like a doctor, a lawyer.
Yeah,
accountant.
We know.
I think
we can relate. We can relate.
But actually, my side dream outside of working in tailoring was to become a pro baseball player.
Okay.
Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
at a young age, you realize that you're probably not going to make
What
it.
position did you play?
Pardon?
What position? did you
Third
play?
base.
Third base.
Very
Because he gets the most action, the most balls go to third
Yeah,
base.
yeah,
That's why
yeah,
I wanted.
down
I
that
wanted to
line.
be. I wanted to stand out, right? So then
Yeah.
let's play third base.
I also had that dream.
I was just gonna say, Suk tries to live out his dream right now by playing softball in the league
Yeah.
every chance he gets. So he's still chasing that dream.
You never know. It says never too
Hey,
late.
hey,
No, we know what we know. So with what you said, so to be specific about what Garrison Bespoke does, is there a specific focus that you have? So you guys tailor custom suits for men. And is there anything that you go very specific into, like whether it's weddings, whether it's luxury events? Like, is there something specific that you guys cater to, or do you guys kind of have a good mix of everything?
Yeah, it's a great question. So originally the business started as me focusing on business suits. So like 15 years ago, all the suits were super baggy. There wasn't really a good place to get a slimmer suit.
Right.
So originally that's where the business started. The first 3 to 5 years I was in business, I was primarily making business suits to all the guys here downtown Toronto on Bay Street, where people would come through from New York or LA. And about the 4th or 5th year, Chris Bosch, he was a player for the Raptors. He came into the store, made him a few suits. And I remember Chris at that point, he never really, you remember him telling me he never really felt super comfortable in a suit. And it actually wasn't about the fact that who made the suit, how it fit. It was more about him feeling like he was wearing the right color with the right style.
Right.
Yeah.
So the reason why the business is called the Garrison is actually originally like a hangout. So most of our clients and buddies that come into the store, they see it as a place where they go hang out during the day and kind of they might see someone they work with, someone they might see from the past,
Yeah.
and then it just so happens they get a suit. That's originally what the synthesis of Garrison was, and so after that relationship with Chris, I actually was able to kind of create a broader relationship with the Raptors.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And with the Raptors came Drake. So I remember a pretty pivotal point in our business was I when Drake was named the global ambassador for the Raptors.
Okay.
We made him a really, really kind of famous to today gray suit. Inside this suit, there was like a vintage, Mitchell and Ness Vince Carter jersey on the inside.
Yeah,
I remember
that.
taking
The
it
purple
off.
one,
I remember that.
off.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember that was a pretty from a cultural standpoint, I always thought of Garrison more from the standpoint of what my mark would be was innovation. I
Right.
always was looking for things that were innovative in the business, and that was one of our key innovations.
Yeah.
And then from that, I just got super interested in saying, hey, well, I'm in a traditional business. I really want to make my mark, but how do I make my mark in a traditional
Like,
business?
what do you do different? How do you
Absolutely.
be unique?
Absolutely.
Right.
So it's always about the customization. So
Yep.
the customization of, for example, Drake's jacket. From there was an innovation we did with the bulletproof suit.
Okay.
So a lot of our
Oh,
clients
wow. Oh,
come
that's
through
really
the
cool.
store. So I invented this suit that basically is 4 pounds. It looks like a regular suit.
Yeah.
It's actually bulletproof.
Wow.
So I had like pretty worldwide acclaim to that. So that really got our name out there.
Yeah.
And then I think the biggest thing that has happened over the years was from there, we actually got this show called Suits. This
Yep.
show Suits that started. I remember the original pilot, they were filming it in front of my store on Wellington.
Okay.
I remember Gabriel, who was Harvey on the show,
Yes.
walking back and forth. And his suit didn't fit. So he was wearing a Tom Ford suit. So he'd originally gotten fit in New York, at the New York store of Tom Ford.
And just for everybody, we're talking about Harvey Specter, Suits, the show that was all over the place.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And everybody knew that it
What
was
a-
filmed. Yeah, so it's like
What a small
world type of thing,
weird
coincidence, and
yeah.
it kind of really fits in.
So I actually met him. I invited him to the store, made him an espresso. It
Okay.
was kind of cold outside. They actually set up the outside of Garrison to look like a New York. Like actually see the pilot. You actually see our store in the pilot of the show.
Okay.
Episode was season 1, and the whole idea around why I actually got Gabriel or the show Suits was because I said to the wardrobe designer who I met after, hey, I actually dressed the real life Harvey Specter. I actually dressed the boss of all the law firms down here. He should be dressing this way. And it took some time to get them to get convinced. But basically from season 2 onwards, I did the show. I did kind of Gabriel's clothing. And that was a really pivotal point for me, given the fact that a lot of people watch that show.
Right.
And a lot of people Google, hey, where do they get the suits?
Yeah.
So people might
I mean,
think it's-
I'll give you this. His suits were always
his
spick
style.
and span.
I was gonna
like-
say his style is very iconic,
Yeah,
right?
everybody
very
wanted to be that
prominent,
guy.
Like,
That's
he,
what a
he
lot
was a
of
boss.
younger
Yeah,
guys
yeah, yeah.
started getting into wearing suits too, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
like,
yeah.
So
it was a nice look.
that's amazing because you're right. Like if in that moment I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, like I want to look like that. That's what you would do. And I guess that's where it comes in. What are you Googling? And comes up Garrison.
And I think that overall, actually, the main thing that we learned from working on that show was when you're on television, you basically want to look as sharp, slim, and broad as possible.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know, like a lot of the leading men in Hollywood aren't the biggest guys.
Yeah.
So you need to really create that shape, and creating that shape is driven by the way that the suits are constructed. So the learnings I had in film and television and shows like Suits, I integrate them into the clothing I make for a wedding.
Right.
Yeah.
So in 2015, I actually opened this store we're at right now.
Okay.
It's Garrison Celebrations.
Okay.
So it's a store just for the groom.
As Mike just mentioned, Garrison Celebrations is where we're at today. So for those of you that are not listening on Spotify and are actually watching this on video, you can see that this is not our normal setting. This is the first time that we've stepped out of our own studio in the Eminence Entertainment location and came over to a different location and filmed somewhere else. And I think it was special because we really wanted to see the magic and where it happens. And we wanted to bring people in directly to Garrison for them to be able to see, what you guys do. And on that note, why don't you show us what you have here, right? Because you have a very unique piece here
Absolutely.
that you have. And you said that, you have obviously the styles and the trends that people want to wear. So we're going to get to all of that because I know there's going to be a lot of grooms, actually maybe a lot of brides watching for their groom. but this is the place that you want to come and you want to talk to Mike. So Mike, why don't you give us some information on, what's going on in this piece here?
So this piece is a really special, I guess, creation that I've worked on over COVID. So 2 years in the making. A lot of our innovations, they take quite a bit of time to source the right artisans to make it, for me to kind of distill the kind of design and kind of the inspiration of it. But really, super simply, this is actually a, I guess, commercial version of what we made for Drake. So during the Raptors championship run in 2019, I made a jacket for Drake. It holds the Guinness World Record for world's most expensive tuxedo. It's got like 230 some odd diamonds on it.
Okay, but you got to
So-
drop the price with that. Don't just say
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
expensive. Don't just say most expensive. You got to drop the
So,
price.
so how much was it?
$550,000 US.
550,000 USD.
So this jacket itself, basically, I've always wanted to get body tattoos. Like since
Yeah.
as a kid, a young Asian kind of growing up, I always like, but being a Roman Catholic, it wasn't really looked kind of great upon to have body
Yeah.
tattoos.
Right.
So I remember there was a day where myself and all my friends, we were all going to say, hey, today we're going to get the tattoos. So two of my best friends, they actually got this tattoo on their body.
Oh, very nice.
And I was the third, and I backed out.
after they did something they couldn't come back from, you're like, yeah, guys, I'm out of here.
But this is basically inspired by that date. And I think that what's unique about it is the fact that it is that tattoo, and it's that tattoo actually on a jacket, specifically for myself to wear on special days, whether it be I attend a wedding or I go to dinner. And it is actually a item that can be commissioned in our store. So basically, you can come in with a design or an inspiration or even a story of maybe how you met your bride-to-be or a story of your family. We can actually embroider it on the jacket.
That's really cool.
And I think before we got into this, we were talking about how people are doing it with the inner lining.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't give the same wow factor because now you have to actually open your suit to now show that. Whereas this is, like you said, like a tattoo, like it's in your face. It's very easy to read. It's very easy to see. So that's really cool because I don't think any of us have ever seen that before, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not like.
It's
a
not
big-
common at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen it before this. I don't know what comment. I've never seen it before this. I'll give you that. So in terms of that, so you obviously have a lot of creative ideas. Now, you're basically telling us, and you're basically telling everybody at home that's here with us watching is that and listening is that you can basically tattoo, which would be embroidering anything on a suit, regardless of how complicated or complex
Absolutely.
it might be. So, guys, I don't know anybody else that can do that. So, Mike is the guy. You got to make sure we're gonna give you all the information at the end, but Mike is the guy to bring your creativity to life because I'm sure there's a lot of people. We see people all the time like.
100%.
They tell all these cool stories of how they met the bride and groom
Yeah.
met, and sometimes the friend drops a story.
Yeah, it'll be, I think, super unique to have something like that at a reception because it's a conversation piece, right?
Yeah.
Like it starts the conversation, and as a groom or a groom to be, I think you can potentially tell that entire story, and you don't have to just limit it to I think the front. You can do the back as well.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming, Mike, and yeah, for sure, like that's a massive canvas.
I think something that's cool with Mike, like before we started filming, I tell Mike's very passionate, right? And Mike was making a good point about making the groom a focal point.
Yeah.
Right? We don't see that.
No.
It's always about the
Yeah.
bride, right? So
Yeah.
Mike, maybe touch on that, like how, you were showing us
Yeah,
that
what
piece on
you
that side,
told
right?
us actually, what you were talking about the hair and
Absolutely.
why don't you touch on that and
Yeah.
What makes that because you had a lot of things that I wouldn't have even thought of.
Ultimately, your wardrobe, like think about the bride to be and the groom to be. Basically, you're creating a movie. And
Yeah.
the movie is basically there's components of it, whether it be the music, whether it be the lighting, whether it be the venue, and one component is the wardrobe. So I'm building the wardrobe to create that movie, and the photos you have or the video you have afterwards will kind of document the story forever. And
Right.
that's what I really love about working in the wedding industry is the fact that I'll run into someone on the street and maybe I won't remember exactly their name, but they'll remember me.
Yeah.
So I make that mark in their life and I'm able to contribute to this story that will hopefully live on forever in photos and in video. So when it comes to like whether it be something like this, when it comes to the dragon jacket or a key trend this season, like the white dinner jacket, really what we do is bring you into the store, really look to understand, your personality, the venue, how you want to look and how you want to portray yourself on that big day. And we make recommendations from a styling standpoint to create that with your clothing. And then one of the things that has changed over the last decade is it's actually more commonplace or acceptable for the actual groom with the bride to care just as much as the way they dress.
Yeah.
So you have almost like the advent of the groomzilla now. It's actually okay for a guy to be, for a guy to be like, like
We might have one at this
just
table.
Yeah,
weird.
there might be one at this table right now. I'm not gonna say any names, but
So,
you might be
Mike,
sitting to my left.
since you mentioned that, that's a great segue. Look, I'm getting married this year. What are some tips, trends, kind of ideas that you can throw out there for some of the grooms to think about and lean towards for this upcoming season?
By the way, his wedding's in 3 weeks. just to throw that out there.
So for
He
I
still
already-
needs ideas.
I already ordered my suit from.
So
Yeah, it's already done. It's
Yeah,
already done.
but you did have a color, a change in mind when you saw the white.
So, no, it's funny enough. So we were talking about the white. Like,
Absolutely.
it won't work for us because for other reasons. We won't get into those. But I think the white is iconic. It's super dope. We went with something very similar, just different color.
Yeah. Okay.
So a really good example is like guys, you can go on Pinterest or Instagram and really get a lot of inspiration online as to things you just like how they look.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because you like how it looks doesn't mean it's right for you and for the actual wedding day and ultimately the story you're trying to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can like it's very it's similar to like cars. You can look at an SUV and a convertible, but if you really are driving this thing for utility, you're not going to get a convertible.
Yeah.
So the same thing with the wedding collection. I've got the wedding collection. We've got a range of outfits called icons. So these icons, there's 8 in the store. So they come in, they basically represent every type of wedding that might happen in history. So tuxedo's like coming on like 100 years in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, it hasn't changed that much over the last 100 years. So you're looking to pick that messaging, that outfit, and then you make it your own based on the shade it is, based on the lapels, based on just some features that basically will make it your own for the big day.
Right. And I think a lot of people don't even go that far. It's like, I like this color. Okay, can you
Yeah.
can you make? Because I mean, up until you have a conversation with somebody that knows what they're doing, you're not gonna know much about it because this is not your daily thing that
Absolutely.
you're gonna be walking around. And for you, like you said, you were making suits for people downtown. Some of your higher profile clients, like whether it was for the Raptors, whether it was Drake. Now these people are in much larger settings and environments where they need to be dressed a certain way and they need to have that knowledge. The average Joe is maybe going to a wedding once a year or once every couple of years. So they don't really get into that. And obviously when they're getting married, they don't have that information. So it's really good that you're sharing this with everybody. So a little bit that you mentioned about, styles and shades and stuff like that. Would you be able to have somebody come in here, have no idea what they want and be able to style them from scratch?
Absolutely. So the majority of our clients come into our store. We do a call 20 minutes to get to know the venue, get to know if you have any ideas. We send some pictures ahead of time just so you can get a baseline for what we might be showing you.
Yeah.
And then we actually meet with you. We call them stylists. So I'd be a stylist at Garrison.
Right.
So I'll actually have garments picked out for you that I would suggest that you might try on or look at for your big day. And ultimately, like we're speaking to like the core tips
Yeah.
for any groom, whether or not they really love fashion or whether they have no idea what they're looking for.
Yep.
It would be the fact that you're in a setting where you don't normally wear a suit on a regular basis, or you obviously want something special for your wedding day. You should always go a little bolder than what
Yeah.
you actually are comfortable with.
Correct.
The values from a camera and from a photography standpoint, they're not going to actually be the same as what they are in real life. So you
Right.
really need to like pop a little bit more. So if your intended effect is to have that brighter shade of blue, you probably need to go a little brighter than what you see on a swatch or you see it actually in person.
Right.
Because there's going to be a lot of things, especially with South Asian weddings, with the way things are lit, for the fireworks that are going on.
Yeah.
So you really want to understand the fact you don't want to get lost in photography,
Right.
lost in video. The second thing I would probably mention to anyone thinking about their outfit for their wedding is you're gonna look best in what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
So ultimately, like you're gonna be in the store. Maybe you have a drink with us. We've got a fully stocked bar. We've got the shop here at King Eddie.
That's the first thing you do. Get warm.
You need a little bit of lubricant to get whether or not you run
Yeah.
around the block and don't drink, run around the block, get
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And when you get in, you're comfortable. You can picture yourself in it. I think that then on the day you're gonna look your best.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is like it's indisputable that your girl, your fiance, your future wife knows you best. So it really is like you should lean on her to say, hey, well, what does she think? And ultimately, you want that feedback. That you also want to take it with a grain of salt, given the fact that it's really her day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah,
accessory.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
the accessory.
So if you want to get a bit, get in a fight.
Gertie
you know,
knows all about
yeah.
Uh,
But integrate your fiance.
So, Mike, another question for you. So now let's provide some value for not just the people that are center of attention, like the bride and groom, but what if you're attending a lot of weddings, right? Like, so someone like Prince, super popular, attends so many weddings, in a season. What kind of tips and tricks would you recommend for him to have some staples in his closet or his wardrobe and things like that to attend these weddings?
And on top of that, you do have outside of this showroom, you do have a second shop
Absolutely.
where you don't do just wedding and bridal stuff. You do your everyday suits as well. People on Wall Street and Wall Street. Well, actually, he
Yeah,
probably
Wall
do
Street
Wall
and
Street.
Bay
Yeah,
Street.
Wall
Bay
Street.
Street.
Bay Street is what I
Yeah.
meant to say, but
Yeah.
he does do Wall Street, so I guess that works.
Yeah.
But just your everyday people.
My recommendation for someone who doesn't necessarily wear a suit every day, but is attending a lot of weddings, like we're in the age where a lot of our friends and family
Yep.
are getting married. We have
married, yeah.
different events, especially with COVID, 2 years, things being kind of canceled. Everyone's trying to make up for lost time.
Yep.
So you need one classic piece, whether it's like a dark blue, dark gray, a black.
Mhm.
So God forbid something happens, you have to wear it for something formal. Even if you get invited to something that's like a black tie, you can actually dress that thing up with a crisp white shirt and a dark tie and look the part. And then if you actually want to dress it up or dress it down, you can mix up things like you're wearing a t-shirt here,
Yep.
V-neck over here. You can wear a turtleneck with it. You can really mix and match in terms of creating other outfits. Once you have that one staple piece, you can go something like this. You can
Super
go
bold,
tan,
right?
You can
Super
go
bold.
burgundy. You can wear green. Don't be scared of it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, a wedding is a celebration.
Yeah.
And when you step into the store, regardless whether you're spending $100 or $10,000, you have to feel really great about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you want to feel special. And
Yeah.
ultimately, what I really wanted to create at Garrison is to create a scenario where a man can get dressed and feel really special in it.
Right.
So my recommendation would be like get that one staple piece. That's your everything suit. Fits well. You're comfortable in it.
Yep.
Find different combos to wear it in different settings, and then get something that's like popping. And then popping within the level of comfort you have, whether you might wear something a little bit lighter or darker than this.
Right.
So when it comes to building a wardrobe, don't think that you're confined by the fact that hey, you necessarily are someone who works in tech or someone who works in sales and you have to dress a certain way. This is your opportunity to kind of shine and be different.
and be you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
try
yeah,
to
that's
let the inner you come out
Yeah.
through the clothing.
Just remember at scenarios like attending weddings or in social settings, most people are just thinking about themselves. They're not
Agreed.
really
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
at you.
No.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
So
not.
wear what you're
100%.
feel good
Yeah,
at.
yeah. Don't
That's a
be
really
based on
good
oh
point.
they're gonna wear this, so I should wear this. Wear
Yeah.
what you want because they're probably thinking about what they want, not what you want.
Absolutely.
So
That's a really good point.
on that note, send me all of your wedding invites. Garrison's getting me ready. I'm ready to attend. So just we're ready to go. How much in advance do you need, or how far out do orders kind of lead for you? If groom is getting married in 3 weeks, like is that enough time, or is
For
he
the
a little
record, I
bit-
booked 8 weeks out.
Okay, man, I get
For
it.
the
Hey,
record.
sorry. We're done making fun of him. He's
For
taking-
the
I think
record.
it's starting to hurt his feelings. But how early on should somebody come in for a consult? Because I'm assuming that's step one, right?
Absolutely. So we've got an in-house tailor shop. So we've done stuff as quickly as like overnight. Like
Wow.
obviously for film
Wow.
and television.
Amazing.
I remember there was near the season finale of Suits, there was a scene where they actually filmed 3 different versions of the same scene
Oh,
of Meghan Markle. Actually, when she was getting there was a scene where she was going to get married near the end of the series.
Right.
And we made 3 different tuxedos for 3 different types of endings. So I remember working overnight
wow.
and 5 a.m. delivering
Wow.
it. So there's scenarios like that. Like obviously we don't
That's
that-
not
we don't
ideal,
we
yeah.
definitely
We don't recommend that.
yeah,
we
no,
don't
definitely
recommend
not.
that.
Please don't say
not.
that when
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
are 30 per
It
year.
might, and if you want, it might cost $550,000.
But we definitely recommend that you leave at least 8 to 10 weeks kind of lead
cool.
time. Actually, not that we need 8 to 10 weeks lead time to make it, but a lot of our fabrics come from the UK. Like this mill here is an English mill we work with, so there's always lead times of shipping.
Yep.
And you want a scenario where you're relaxed and you enjoy the experience. So I think that the experience is just as important as the actual garment that you're getting.
Yep.
So you wouldn't have built this beautiful showroom. You come and have a scotch, meet with one of my colleagues, meet with myself, if it wasn't something to be kind of celebrated. An experience.
Yeah.
So when you're rushed on the experience, you don't get the full value. So I always recommend 8 to 10 weeks. Now for specific things like this dragon jacket here, it's substantially more time. We'd recommend like 6 months to a year ahead of time.
Wow.
Gotcha.
But one of the things is we have grooms ask us all the time. He's getting married, like let's say 2024, 2 years from now, or a year and a half from now. The outfit for your wedding is the centerpiece of everything you do afterwards. When it comes to how you pick the accessories,
Yes.
how your groomsmen dress,
Your
just overall you
decor.
have that thing done, right?
Yeah.
And I always recommend the fact that hey, people, I'm not necessarily the biggest planner, but I know my guys that are really big planners. They've done way better than me in certain areas. Whether they made a lot more money than me in different spots. So if you're the kind of person who wants to be as successful for your wedding as possible,
Right.
like you say you've failed to plan, you sort of you plan to fail, right? And I
Yeah.
think that doesn't necessarily apply to tailoring, but I think you're always going to get a better result when you're
When you have
leaving
time.
a lot of lead time.
Yeah, when you have a
Yeah.
little bit more preparation
Oh,
going into
makes
it.
sense.
That's
You
awesome.
can come in for 8 fittings and drink scotch. It's
Yeah. On the house, on the house. So you know what? So we've talked about how long it should, well, somebody should give you in terms of having the full experience. But we've also talked about and covered the fact that if somebody really really needed it, last minute can be done, obviously.
Absolutely.
And if it can, I'm sure you'll be upfront with the person and say, hey, you know what, like I'm really slammed right now, I can't. But because you do everything in house, it's not coming from overseas somewhere. You are, you have the ability to make it overnight, like you said, if need be.
I think-
in any kind of crazy situation.
I think that's a point of emphasis, right? Like a lot of I've been to a ton of suit shops. I'm sure you have as well, and a lot of the stuff is not made here,
It's not, no.
right?
No.
I think that's something that like I really liked about Garrison's. It was made here, and
Yeah.
the tailors are here. Like when I was getting my fitting, like the tailor actually came out. He measured me,
Mhm.
not the stylist or anything like that. And that, like, do you want to kind of touch base on that? Why you went with that approach versus like maybe overseas or something like that?
So we have a really wide range of suits in our store. You can get a suit from like ready-made suit that we'll tailor for you for like $1,000, and you can get obviously something like this in couture for $10,000.
Yeah.
So prices are kind of like prices dictate kind of where things are made and how
Yeah.
things are made. And I think that regardless of where you're spending 1,000 at Garrison or 10,000 at Garrison, you know that there's gonna be a tailor coming out to measure you. You know that we're gonna be obviously integrating all of our expertise into making sure you look the best. And I think that ultimately the whole idea of like control, right? So if you have a retail location like ours where you're gonna come to, we're here, we've been here for 15 years, and you could call on us at any time during business hours to ask questions. There's not gonna be any problems when it comes to your big day. I think that's really
Yeah.
what the value is of having an established business like Garrison.
You have the insurance of that, there's somebody backing the product. And I don't think there's anything better than the feeling of knowing that no matter where you go, you have somebody that's there where you can actually pick up the phone, not just speak to them on the phone, but set an appointment to actually walk in, see that person face to face, and have them fix,
Yeah.
any issue you have. We were on one of our other episodes talking about it was actually the last one that we released, or the one before that. It was about bridal wear for women, and it was a lot of the Indian outfits. Like people go to India, they'll go there, they'll get an outfit made, and then they come back and it comes in the wrong size. But who do you call now? Who's answering your phone call? Across the world,
100%.
nobody probably, right?
And with how
So-
stressful weddings are,
Yeah.
it just one less thing for you to stress about, right? And having someone to go to, and again, like you're saying, if you're here, you'll know when your suit's gonna be ready. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? It's like it's
Yeah.
not like there's a shipping delay. Or
It's like
something
having
that.
your cousin DJ your wedding, right?
Yeah.
Lighting and set design, right?
This is going on TikTok.
So the process of people, first getting in touch with you to the final end, no, like not like obviously the super in depth, because you
Absolutely.
have to come in and book your appointments to do that and find out the actual behind the scenes what goes on. But just kind of the streamlined process of point A to point Z all the way through. Where does it start, and what are the kind of quick steps through it, and where is the finish?
Yeah, so typically the process is it's 4 visits minimum. So the first visit we typically do on the phone or in person. We want to discover, like, obviously what you've had in the past that you've liked, because we have a history and understanding of how you've kind of worn tailoring. We can make some recommendations based off that.
Okay.
We understand the venue, what your fiance might be wearing, and just if you have any ideas. And that gives us a basis for how we're actually going to style you. So then, whether it be the next visit or the same time, given the timeline, we would actually pull a number of garments that
Yeah.
are representative of what we might recommend. So we would basically be styling you. So the styling in here is actually very similar to like what is done in film and television. So in film and television, when we're like shooting a scene or we have a kind of a message we're trying to convey, we'll actually pick wardrobe and then recommend that wardrobe be the right clothing for that scene. So we'll pick outfits for you to recommend that those are the actual outfits for the wedding,
Yeah.
and then we'll get feedback. And hopefully one of the ones you land on is kind of the idea for the wedding. So whether you want that specific one or we make a variation of it, if we make a variation of it, we can pick. We've got the biggest library of fabric in Canada.
Okay.
It's a very
wow.
wide range of fabrics that, just blue. We have like 10,000 different versions of blue.
Wow.
10,000.
But our-
Guys,
At minimum, right?
10,000, 10000.
That can be very daunting, and it's the stylist's job to actually curate it and recommend 2 or 3 that could be a really
Wow.
great fit for it.
Right.
So that's really why you have someone here that's an expert that works on things and think about the lighting, think about your skin tone, think about how actually in terms of like, hey, if you're second guessing that is too bright or too dark,
They're there
we'll actually
with you.
find your version to
Yeah.
show you.
Yeah.
So you're in the shop, you're actually trying different things on, you're seeing
Right.
different lighting. We might take a picture with it to sort of see how you look on it in camera.
Yeah.
Those are that's the process that in store it's invaluable. And
Yeah.
they're all doing it over a drink. They're all doing it with
Yeah.
some
It's
music.
it's very chill vibe.
Hopefully you guys it was over some laughs.
Yeah.
And I think when you're comfortable, you can be honest.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
can be honest and say, I don't like this, or hey, what
Mhm.
about this? So I think that in one way we're styling, but other way we really want to get your feedback.
Exactly.
And that's why I had recommended the fact that, hey, a really important thing is your fiance, your loved one comes with you. Or maybe if it's not, if you want to be surprised, maybe you bring your best friend who
Yeah.
can give you that advice. Like, you know, that friend,
Unfiltered.
yeah, unfiltered.
Mhm.
Gives you advice that hurts, but you need it.
I tell him all the time.
But you need it, right? That
I
advice
tell
that-
him all
yeah.
the time.
If you don't bring your fiance, bring him.
Yeah.
And hopefully you could collaboratively make a choice.
Right.
So we'll have the
100%.
tailor measure you. We take up to 20, 21, 20, 25 measurements, depending on how your body type and kind of what kind of fit that you're getting from us.
Mhm.
We might have you come in for a subsequent fitting. And then from that fitting, we'll actually do a fitting with the actual garment. With the actual garment, you can give us feedback on anything, whether you want it kind of looser or slimmer, or you want things changed, and then the final pickup. And if you come in with a longer lead time, meaning let's say your wedding's a year and a half out, you'll pick up the outfit, but we'll always have you come in a month before your wedding to do the retailoring. And one of the key things we have questioned all the time is like, hey, I'm losing weight. What if I'm not going to be the same size once my wedding day happens? You know, the stress, right?
Yeah.
Stress the wedding day.
Yeah.
We're all in the fitness.
Not
trip.
with- not
It might not show.
I was gonna
but-
point at him again, but I'm like, I'm gonna stop.
It might not show yet, but
So one of the things is, unless you're going to have a major injury, a lot of guys, like the main thing that it really screws up the silhouette of a suit is the shoulders.
Right.
So
Right.
you really like need to make sure the fact that your shoulders have stabilized. It's very seldom that like a man can put on enough size in his shoulders between the time he gets fitted and the time he picks up, unless he's going for like a bodybuilding competition in
Right.
order to change in that area.
Yeah.
Everything else can be tailored. It's very kind of small touch tailoring.
Right.
So I get that question all the time because, you know, obviously we're fluctuating weight. We're trying to cut weight. Intermittent fasting's big.
Yeah.
We actually have guys come between the time they start and the time they pick up like 20, 30 pounds down.
Yeah.
It's no problem. It's no problem because the shoulders typically just stay the
Are
same
there, and
size.
then you can just, you know, kind
Absolutely.
of slim them
Yeah.
down throughout the body if
Yeah.
you need to.
Unless you're training to make the Blue Jays and that's a different
Yeah,
story.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate you
yeah.
looking at me, Mike.
That dream is dead, buddy. Just give it up. On that note, actually, so now that we have a good idea of, you know, the start to finish and what happens there, let's talk about your sports team collabs. So what are some of the highlighted collaborations that you've done? You know, maybe some of your favorite players to work with, or maybe some of the most high profile celebrities or clients that you've worked with.
So my all-time favorite sports collabo was Toronto FC.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I did the full Toronto FC team.
Oh,
We
wow.
actually created a fabric with one of our partners, Holland and Sherry,
Okay.
that basically gave them the ability to play soccer in the suit. So this like
Wow.
stretch innovation.
That's wicked.
That's
So like
awesome.
it's been like 7 years now since that first collaboration, but that was actually a innovation partnership that actually carries on to today. That basically that technology and those learnings are actually fused into a lot of our stretch suits.
Very
Wow.
nice.
So I'm the tailor for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the majority of the Leafs, like Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner, will wear these on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that I kind of learned that it was almost like being like I hit on a innovation by accident.
Yeah.
So like the idea was like the Tim Lewicki had come in into MLSC and it was really kind of ramping and kind of regrowing the kind of culture of the team.
Yeah.
And they wanted the team dressed, you know, as if they were gonna
Like in uniform.
serious to play, right?
Yeah.
So I think designing for the entire team and then going from start to finish, from the fabric right to the finished product has probably been my favorite sports collaboration.
That's awesome.
I would say like from like a journey standpoint, like I'm always going to be a clothing craft guy to the day I die.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the diamond jacket that we did for Drake,
For Drake.
I think like a year and a half working on a project, like normally when I'm doing
Wow.
things,
Yeah. I know.
like I have a like, you know, as a millennial, we're used to instant gratification.
Yes. Yeah.
And very seldom do I actually work on the same thing month after month, and for it to kind of strand out a year and a half was a pretty it was a frustrating thing. It's difficult when you're
Yeah.
when you're actually making things and iterating. Sometimes you can second guess yourself, and there was a lot of like difficult times in creating that piece. But I think that from a personal growth for the company, I think that it really taught me the fact that, hey, like not everything comes fast.
Mhm.
Right.
Like
The
this is a
patience in it
yeah.
is key as well.
I would say Garrison's like wedding business celebrations is like 15-year in the making, like meaning it's like a 15-year overnight success.
Right.
Yep.
And I think that when it comes to tailoring, a lot of times if you really do want to create things that make people feel phenomenal, if I really want to make like suiting and kind of tailoring relevant to people, if I want people to feel really special as to why they're spending money on their wedding outfit, I think that that time needs to be taken, right? And I think that things like this or things like the diamond suit really reinforce it and remind me of it. We're just not a business that just needs to be pumping out a bunch of suits.
Yeah, it's
We
Yeah.
not
really
it's
want to
not
be
just the
doing things.
quantity, it's about the quality and I guess the connection that the person feels with that suit. Like they actually take a look in their closet. Like, I mean, a lot of people get a suit for their wedding, they wear it, and then it's nowhere to be found again. It's somewhere in the back collecting dust, and they don't ever want to look at it. They don't really care for it. But in this situation where you're building a connection between that product, they really feel like, that's something that they want to look at, or maybe even, one day show their kids or their grandkids and be like,
Absolutely.
hey, like that's what I wore.
Yeah, I've never thought about suits like until
Until
this
until
episode.
this
Yeah,
moment,
yeah,
until this
yeah.
moment, like 5 minutes
This is
ago,
like a learning
like,
experience for
and-
me, but like
yeah.
I've never thought about
The-
suits this in depth.
The way Mike put it, right? Like, the passion, you can feel it. Like,
Yeah, I'm like already
That's
thinking
awesome.
about like Mike when I'm on the Blue Jays. What are we thinking?
We
Stretch
also-
suit, right?
we also have
Cut, cut.
I gotta say, we have thing called a fit check. So a fit check is every year at New Year's you put on your wedding suit.
Oh, okay.
wow.
See how
Yeah,
you
yeah.
changed in
See how
size.
you changed.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It
That's
gives you
awesome.
opportunity to set an appointment with your tailor to come back and see him, right? Have a
Yeah.
laugh, have a scotch.
Yeah.
Hopefully take in the suit, not let it out, right?
Yeah.
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 Hopefully. So okay, we've talked about collaborators. So you said you've worked with the Toronto
FC, the soccer
You've
team.
worked with Toronto Maple Leafs. You've done some of the Raptors or a lot of the Raptors. You've done Drake, who is obviously world renowned. Are there any other international celebrities that you've done that are outside of Toronto that we may not know of?
I think the biggest for weddings specifically, the most unusual suit that kind of like created the most notoriety for us from a formal wear wedding scenario was for Ryan Gosling. So
Oh,
actually, for
oh,
Ryan
nice.
Gosling, I remember it probably would have been like 2013 during TIFF. How it works is typically like the actors get sent clothing from various big fashion houses to
Yep.
actually wear for the
Mhm.
big day.
Yep.
And you would kind of be surprised that there isn't really too much planning in terms of actually his sizing. So they're just kind of look on his IMDb profile and be like, hey, he's a size 40 or 42.
I just try to
Send him
do
the suit. So he actually gets a rack of 3 or 4 suits, and then he picks one. A lot of times, the stylist in this case was out of LA, so they had sent him some tailoring, and it didn't fit.
Yeah.
So during TIFF, we actually get quite a few of these requests, and it just so happens that year we was Ryan Gosling.
Right.
So we actually made him this blue tuxedo. It was actually something that we're creating as a sample for the upcoming fall winter collection,
Okay.
and we ended up actually recutting it and giving it to Ryan, and it actually, I would say, like I had a piece in playing part in the blue tuxedo trend. So we're just
Wow.
talking about the blue
Yeah.
tuxedo
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
The cobalt blue tuxedo. So I think that that's probably like the most unusual film and television kind of work I've done.
Connection with
That's
that-
connection with wedding.
Gotcha.
And then probably the most visceral was Hannibal.
Okay.
So we did a show called
Nice.
Hannibal
Yeah.
in the early 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
So Mads Mikkelsen, he was like the villain in Bond.
Yeah.
He played a character that it ate his victims.
Yep.
And the clothing we made in that show, like, man, it was dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what you're talking about earlier is that you got to make it based on the environment that it's going to
Absolutely.
be worn in, right? So that's really cool.
And I think that like from a learning and just from like just actually being involved with that project, when I think of film and television, I think of iconic imagery in video and in print. I still look at that like to this day.
Wow.
Yeah, just reflecting on like this year is my 15th year in business, and I was reflecting all the different things that have happened over the years, and I think that's something that's kind of imprinted in my mind.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So you've done, obviously, like you said, you have 15 years of experience, and there's so much creativity and evolving that you do year after year, project after project. What else, if anything else, is there that you would want to tell people specifically? And this doesn't have to be wedding related, but in terms of their outfits, planning their outfits when it comes to any kind of event that's formal wear.
I would say that one thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is the way you look for your actual wedding is maybe sometimes the most iconic, or like it's the best you'll look for your entire life.
Wow.
You'll get this photo and you always go and look and reminisce on it. And how much is it worth? They actually look at the wedding. You might spend 100 grand on your wedding, and it's a great party, but it's a great party for everyone else besides you. So
Yeah.
really, like, you're spending this to obviously make your family and your extended family and a bunch of strangers super happy. And hopefully you have a great time at the end once you're exhausted and just hanging out with your boys, right?
Yeah.
But really, 6 months to a year later, you probably remember the memories of the great music that you listened to.
Yeah.
How it
Yeah.
popped off. You guys,
Yeah.
there was this tune, everyone's going crazy and nuts, and the photos and video.
Yeah.
And I would say like that would be the one thing that it's super important when you actually walk into your like your closet and you see a picture of you and your wife 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and how great you looked. One of the key things, hopefully, that Garrison or wherever you choose to get your clothing made or whatever you choose to get contributed towards. So I think that probably like something that not a lot of people know, and it's the fact that when you think of it that way, you really, I guess, put an effort into things like whether it be like the set design, the lighting, the music, because the music ultimately, it creates the vibe. And the vibe.
www.eminenceent.com.
Yeah.
Can we get
Shameless plug.
can we get the
Shameless
co-sign,
plug.
Mike?
Yeah, because if you're smiling, if you're smiling, you're doing the first dance, and you're in the iconic outfit, it's all incremental. So it's
Right.
all kind of like it's almost like it all stacks up to that one iconic shot, that one iconic moment in video.
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the one thing I'd leave with the audience.
And it's on that note, that's your red carpet moment. And not everybody gets to go on a red carpet every other week or every other month or
Yeah.
every other year. For a lot of bride and grooms,
That is the moment.
that is your
That
red
is your
carpet moment.
red
That is the
carpet.
moment where you want to shine, as all celebrities do, and make sure they plan their outfit from top to bottom, and with who they're going to be standing next to and the environment they're going to be in. That is your red carpet moment. So you want to make sure you look your best. So that's amazing. I've noticed, while we're in the other shop and we've been in this shop, there are other things in the shop outside of just suits. There are accessories as well. And I don't know the answer to this question, so I'd also like to know, what else do you guys provide? Like, what other things do you guys sell or offer outside of just the suits, outside of the blazer, outside of the pants, outside of that?
So it's a funny thing. So with COVID, I don't know if you guys remember that kind of early April, May, 2020, it was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know if the world was gonna end or not, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was home wearing joggers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys like, they don't want to look at their suits. They walk by the closet, like, hey, I can't believe I spent that much money on suits.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm never
no,
wearing a
stuck in
suit
the
again,
closet.
right? So actually, I would say like COVID was a gift for us in 3 core ways. One, it was like it forced us to pivot
Yep.
into full lifestyle. So actually, when you go to Garrison, you actually see we'll make everything for a man's lifestyle, whether it be we make it ready made, we can get it, or it custom. So it can range from, you can get the tee that goes with your suit. You can obviously get your knits, your footwear, your outerwear. So we have everything in
Awesome.
our
Oh.
main store.
Right.
Then when it comes to your wedding, we've got all the accessories that create the outfit. So a big thing is we got these shoes. We just created this. It actually, I'm really proud of it. It was like months in the making, but basically it's like the perfect last. So it's like a pointed last, but it's
Right.
still rounded at the same time. So it's actually a shoe that you could wear with your tuxedo for your wedding, but you also could wear it with a fitted pair of jeans when
Wow.
you go out to the club or out to dinner with your wife. So it was all about like making a shoe that basically plays double duty. Because you don't want to buy a pair of shoes, just wear it for the
Yeah,
wedding day and
for the
leave
wedding and
leave
leave
it in
it,
the
yeah.
closet, right?
Yeah.
Same with the wedding outfit. You want to be able to pull that thing out afterwards
Right.
and wear that thing. So I think it's all the accessories that go with it that are available here at our store. And I really do think that, at the end of the day, the best mark of us doing a great job is that what we make for you gets worn. So we're always moving towards, when we do style you, we're going to explain to you how to wear it in different settings you can wear it in. So not a lot of men know the fact that even if they get a tuxedo, they can wear the jacket from the tuxedo on its own with a pair of jeans. They can go to a Raptor game and wear that thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can wear it with the tee. Like you see Kanye West, he'll actually rock a tuxedo,
Yes.
the tee. But this year, actually, guys are going like Mykonos or Ibiza. They're wearing no shirt. That's the vibe.
That's the
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah, you
Just
get
the jacket.
the hardened vibe. You get the long beard and then
Yeah.
no shirt underneath. So there's a lot of actually ways you can actually wear your wedding outfit after your wedding, and if you want to put a smile on your wife's face, take out your wedding suit and put it on, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, no, 100%. And that's
Mike
and
dropping
that's cool.
knowledge, man.
Yeah, that's
That's
that.
dope.
See, and
Yeah.
these are the things that you wouldn't know if you go,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't want to say, you know, any place is less than the other, but Garrison's probably a little bit better than the rest. So you just, you know, you want to go somewhere where people have knowledge, and Mike, you definitely have the knowledge. You've given us a lot of knowledge for things that
Thank
we
you.
don't know.
Yeah.
So we've got all the knowledge. You know, everybody at home has gotten a lot more information than they probably knew before. And
I think
now we need to,
like,
yeah,
I think
including
we-
us.
I
Yeah.
Usually we talk a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna mention to you. So
You
today,
met your match, huh?
we're just like, I'm just sitting here like taking this and like, what?
today I did all of the talking because, you know, like we're going through the conversation and whatnot. Usually these guys have a lot of input and something to say. And today I was looking at them, they're just like so intrigued, like so
It's
into
dope,
the
man.
conversation.
I honestly thought
Which
we were gonna
is-
show up here and be like, yeah, you get fitted,
Yeah.
you get a suit,
And then you go home.
Yeah.
But no, that's knowledge. You know, like we're so happy that, you know, you spent the time to, you know, come on the show and give us all this information. But we've given all the information about what happens at Garrison. Now, how to get in touch with Garrison when, you know, we know all of these people watching are gonna want to get their wedding suit from Garrison and only Garrison. Where are you located and how do they get in touch? What are your contact details for them to get their outfits?
Yeah, so thanks for that plug. So we're downtown Toronto. We've got 2 stores in the financial district, Yonge and King. Our wedding store here is at the King Edward Hotel. We have another store on Wellington at Wellington and Yonge. People actually don't know this, but our store here is located. This is actually the original. There used to be a tunnel that goes from the St. Lawrence Market over here,
Yep.
Wow.
and then during Prohibition, it was like Al Capone's tunnel to smuggle alcohol.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So this space actually has a lot of history. Like it's a pretty interesting to come down here and hang out, have high tea with your fiance. They come over here, check us out, get
And have a
fitted,
scotch with Mike.
and have a scotch.
yeah, exactly.
So you can reach out, send us a DM on Instagram, email us info@garrisonbespoke.com, or just call the store. And you know, we pride ourselves in the fact that we want to have a relationship. We want to be your friend at the end of creating your outfit and have that lifelong relationship. My business is driven specifically on word of mouth, even to this day after 15 years. And I think that I really do believe the fact that relationships the most important thing that I've kind of like over like 6,000 clients have walked through our doors over the years.
Right.
I think that the most important thing is the relationship. So I think that
100%.
you know, we want to be on a first name basis. We'll put on a, I'm always in touch with all the clients. You always have my door is always open, and I hope the fact that it continues that way for the next 15 years.
That's
Amazing. So
Love it.
Mike, thank you so much. Round of applause for Mike.
Yeah.
So
No,
thank you
thanks for
for,
having
you
me
know,
on.
being on
A lot of
the show
knowledge.
with us.
Yeah.
We got lots of knowledge going on. I
I'm
think
gonna have to watch this episode again.
honestly, the last show or the last episode that we did, it was Sook and his wife was on it, and it was for the women's wear I told you earlier, and I think now it's for the men's wear. And in the last one we were joking like she's gonna want to get married, but now I think after this one he wants to get
Oh,
married.
yeah.
So I think it's his turn to go
My
home and say,
suit-
"Hey, round 2, let's
Didn't
do this
didn't
again."
look at the lighting. Didn't look at my mood or my personality. So I definitely want to do it again.
They didn't care. Man.
Yeah.
We got to do it all over. But all right, once again, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into another episode. We had Mike from Garrison Bespoke, and you guys have all the information. We are also going to list the information to get in touch with Garrison for all of your suit needs and your accessory needs, and if you need a stylist. So we got everything covered on this, and you already know how it goes. Another episode of Wedding Season, the podcast brought to you by Eminence Entertainment. And the contact information, as always, 647-449-7034. You can email us at info@eminencent.com.